Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I got to write the stuff. I put something there. But hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special edition of GBC Women with Words. Please invite somebody. This platform is extremely important today, highly important, overratedly important.
And they're speaking book.
Barry, we got English mayor today. British people's in the house today.
And I'll go
Welcome.
English.
Good English, man.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to this very special edition. Before hello Agatha, hello Eva. Anything
Happy
to add?
Friday.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Auntie Beauty.
Happy Friday.
We made it.
Everybody.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to all of you who are here. I see quite a few people have already joined. If you can please share the podcast, this is your opportunity to see the best-selling author, his first interview after he became best-selling author.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right here, we're making history today. So we're not taking this thing for granted. Even though I wanted to run away, I stay here today for the author here.
I know that's right.
But welcome everybody. Our guest today is none other than the newest author, the what they call it, accomplished author, the bestseller author, focus on Africa. Focus on Africa, man. Is being interviewed.
BBC.
Everybody front page. He's from front page, but he got an interview with all the top brass.
I know that's right.
We're so excited today to have Rodney Sieh here so that we can talk to him. Of course, let me just do the most important thing. I am Glendy Jane Juniors, and I am here this evening with
Agatha Joseph,
Eva,
and welcome everybody. Before we bring our guests on, we want to share this so that if you didn't get a glimpse of this, we want to share this picture so that you see. This is the now accomplished bestseller author signing books in what the place name Agatha, in England, in London.
One Birdcage walk in London, England.
Yes, that is the real Rodney D. Sieh. You see right up here, we're not rushing the thing today because the man a big man. Best-selling author in West African history. That is amazing. We're feeling very proud that we ourselves were from West Africa. Just before Rodney come on, we have a little video that we want to share. This was an interview that was done recently talking to Rodney about his book. We do have rights privileges to share it because the interviewee is being interviewed by us today. So we'll share this. Let's watch this together.
Much has been said of George Weah's journey from footballer to president of Africa's oldest republic, Liberia. However, even his start in life in Monrovia is a story in itself, from a poor background onto superstardom playing on some of the world's most famous football pitches. So how did he do it? And how's he doing? Well, the Liberian journalist and author Rodney Sieh has just released an unofficial biography on the president, and he took some time out of his international book tour and joined me here at Broadcasting House in London.
So my first thing was to approach him about it. I asked him, he said he wasn't ready to tell the story. But because we had two books written by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I thought it was important to tell his story before this coming elections. And I embarked on this journey about 4.5 years ago. I tried to get him to talk a few times actually, and he refused, so thus the unofficial.
This book then, and the fact that there was an refusal on his part to talk, would you, hand on heart, say that this is a defence of the man because he has had his critics, or a warts and all account of his life so far?
So
That's just a little bit of the interview Rodney had. We're going to welcome Rodney down to the platform. Hello. Hi, Rodney.
Hello.
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 Welcome.
Thank you very much.
We're happy that you could do this. We feel very proud that you are here with all that you've accomplished. We follow you for a long time, and it gives us nothing but extreme joy and pleasure to welcome you to GBC Women with Words platform. This interview today will be solely directed by Agatha and Eva. They'll ask you all
Really?
the questions. They'll go all inside the corner there and ask you the question. But we want to welcome you and let me just ask one question before I turn it over to them. How do you feel? I mean, with your name now is, I mean, of course, your name is always everywhere. Being a bestseller author for me is a huge accomplishment. What's the difference? What is the difference in 4 years ago you decided to write this book? Today this book is out, and within 2 days of you doing the initial launch, you become a bestseller author. What does that say to you for all that you've done in the many years?
Well, I'm always the person who believes in hard work, and people don't see me in clubs, they don't see me in bars. They're always wondering what I'm doing, and I'm always trying to make myself better. And I think I put in the work. I put in really good work. I work extra hard. You haven't seen me writing a lot for the paper because I've been on this book. And I believe like if you put your mind to something and you really work hard toward it, the sky's the limit. And I think that's what I was able to do.
Okay, that's amazing. We congratulate you on that. I have many other questions, but I'm going to go to Eva or Gata now to start with a line of questioning with you. We'll act like the journalist for you today.
Thank you so much, Rodney, for joining us this evening. Again, it's such an honor to have you, and congratulations on the new book. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the book, let's learn about the man that you are, Rodney D. Sieh. How would you introduce yourself to others?
Well, I'm an open book. I grew up selling newspapers on the streets of Monrovia when I was a little boy. My uncle, Kenneth Best, I worked with him at a Star Observer newspaper. I owe most of my life to him because he and my great grand uncle Albert Port, I look up to them when I was growing up. So I always wanted to be a journalist. And I just think that in this life we live, it's like you come into this world and you see things happening, and you emulate people, you try to be the best that you can be in anything you want. So it starts from growing up as a child. You know, you try to implement things that others see as normal. But I always tell people like you have to work, and it doesn't happen overnight. I was really not from a rich family or anything. I was always willing to learn and do things the right way. Sometimes it's not the way it comes out to be, but you have to keep pushing yourself, and that's what I think I managed to accomplish.
Your sister introduced you in London, and she used a phrase that very few people, especially with your exposure, has been used to introduce them. She said you are a man of very few words, but when you put pen to paper, you are explosive. Help us understand how you bring all of your thoughts down on paper when verbally I can probably get two words from you, hi and bye.
Yeah, I'm always listening to people when they're talking. I was listening more than I talk. And some people get offended by it. They say, oh, you don't say much. But I'm always listening to see people reaction to how things are playing out. And I think the more you listen to people, the more you learn to get to know them. And it seems with my work, I observe things in the country. I observe things around the world. I see how things are going. And I very rarely would I post something on social media but I really, when I want to vent, I vent in my writing.
Yes.
That's the best way to write, to talk, to just use, because you can make more impact writing than when you're talking. Because when you talk so much, nobody listens to you, so you have to write, and that's what I believe in.
All right. Thank you, Eva.
I know you've so carry us through your your educational background and how you got like the newspaper and how all of that started.
Well, I remember, my dad wasn't really um, someone who was always stable. He drank a lot, and we moved, my brother and I, from one home to the next home. So we're always like moving on the road. And elementary school, I was pretty good. Um, I was top of my class in elementary school. Um, and then I went on like career mission. Um, then high school there, and I spent 1 year there because I was always I was wanting to do a lot of stuff, and it affected my grades. So I was in the drama club, I was in the culture troupe, like I was in everything. And then I I almost failed because I didn't have time to study. So my aunt said it was time to get out. And when I left La Curie and went to Cathedral, I got a scholarship offer from La Curie because although my grades were not good, but I was in everything. I was in all the different extracurricular activities. So my aunt said, no, you're not going back there because you weren't doing well. In Cathedral, I was doing well. I was doing much better because there were not much things going on there. So I was focusing on my school. And so graduated from Cathedral, the war came, I went to Kaduna for 1.5 years. I went to the Gambia. I would say I went to school in Gambia, but it wasn't school. It was a practical school because I began working for the BBC, and then um, when the military took over in 1994, July 22nd, I became the only foreign correspondent in the Gambia. And then when things got rough, I was forced to escape, and I went to the States, went back to school, graduated from Hunter College in New York. I got internships with several newspapers in America, at the Kansas City Star, the New York Star Ledger, the Miami Herald. And then my last internship was with the Syracuse Post Standard, where my sister used to work. And after my internship, they hired me, and I worked there for 5 years. From there, I left. I went to the Daily Record the Daily Press in Virginia.
Okay.
Spent a couple of years there. Then I moved back to New Jersey, where I worked for the Daily Record in Parsippany, New Jersey. It was my last job before I decided to go back to Liberia. It was 2007, actually. Um, I came to Liberia for like a couple of weeks, and I met the former ambassador, Linda Thomas Greenfield. And I did an interview with her. And then after the interview, she said, Rodney, you're in America. I think you should come back to your own country and do some work. You can make an impact in your own country. Come back to America. I spent a couple of weeks on my job, and I quit.
Wow.
I quit. I remember the last day of my job, I broke down crying. I was like, am I doing the right thing? Go back to the country where I come from, Civil War, and is it the right decision I'm making? I was driving home, and I just broke down in the middle of traffic crying.
Wow.
Yeah, and I never told anybody this stuff, but it was emotional. And then I came back to Liberia, started the print edition of Front Page Africa, and the rest is history.
Okay. Well, we need your own autobiography soon because you have an incredible story.
Yeah, I did the first book, Journalists on Trial, which was my autobiography.
Yeah. So I want to ask, the name George Weah.
Mhm.
How did you get to naming this book that we're talking about today? How did you conclude on writing? You could have used a lot of different things. Why did you decide on naming this second book of yours, George Weah, even though you were writing about him? How did you come there?
Well, I was having lunch in Washington, D.C. with Helen Cooper, who was in the New York Times, and she had written a book about Madame Sirleaf called Madame President.
Yes.
And she said, Randy, I think she wrote a book about George Weah. I think you're in the country, you're on the ground, you see things, how it happened, and I think you'd be the best person to write that book. And when she told me, until that moment, I wasn't even thinking about it. It wasn't even on my mind. It wasn't script. So I came back home maybe a couple of months later. I said, maybe she's right, So I started jotting some notes down. And then I sent the president a text message asking if, I want to tell his story. And he wasn't receptive toward it. And he said he wasn't ready. So I don't really give up in life. I don't like to take no for an answer. Mm-hmm. So the next route was to find a way to tell the story that will make it as close, as genuine as possible. And the way I thought of doing that was to, look at a lot of things that are people around him. So I made a list of people, jotted them down. And because I wanted this book to be as balanced as possible, a lot of people told me they wanted to talk, but they wanted to talk off the record. And for me, I didn't want a book that would come out and say, oh, he lied on the president, or, So everyone that's quoted in this book is quoted on the record. And I wanted the book to be factual. I wanted it to be objective. I wanted everything I put in there to be, because history, you write a book, it's about history. Yes. And so I did all the research. I got court records of some of the things that happened, especially the one that happened with James Bestman in Washington. Mm-hmm. I went to the courts in Staten Island, got the court records, talked to lawyers, talked to different people. And because I wanted this book to be thorough, and I think the finished product, we had about 4 or 5 editors who went through it. We had to do about maybe about 6 or 7 rewrites, change chapters around. The editing was thorough. It was solid. It was, professional people. Like the publishing company really wanted to be the best product, And so we did a lot of work with it. Sometimes I was frustrated. I was like, I'm done with school. I don't want to go back to school again. But they made you like, they will tell you to do stuff. And I talked to some people, the writers who write books before. They said, well, you just be patient, just be patient. And I was. And what you see now is the result of really, really, really good investigative research reporting.
All right, good. So let's just jump right into this book. I personally didn't know the story behind, I'm going to refer to him as Opon when I'm talking to him as a soccer player, a footballer. And in the beginning of the book, I'm a couple of chapters in, you really drilled down and painted a picture of what Liberia was pre-war. And that really resonated with me. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us how you, as a young man in Liberia, in Monrovia at that time, how did you see Opon Weah? What was your feelings towards him?
The feelings of pride. I was a big fan of George Weah. I was always at the games when he played. Those days when we were reporting for the paper I worked for then. It was a joy to see the national team players come from playing overseas and come back to play for Lone Star. And we're in the camp with them. We're following them from place to place. And it was fun. It was seeing him and the team was a joy. I remember one game he and Apedi Pele, who played for Ghana then, the Liberian Ghana game, came on a private jet to play that game. And it was mesmerizing with people like, oh, George and Apedi Pele came on a private jet, That's the aura of people talking, Right. So it was very, very, and I grew up in that era, a lot of people don't know I started as a sports reporter before I became a. I stumbled on becoming a political reporter because the war came, and then, but I was actually a sports reporter, and that's why I think I was born to write this book, because the sports language and things that you see in the beginning of the book, that's why people thought that maybe the book was favorable to George Weah, but I wanted to make the book as balanced as possible. The good side, the bad side, the ugly side. And in doing that, you have to tell the beginning, where he came from.
Right.
Gibraltar, talk to people who knew him then. And so that's what the beginning looks like. So when I heard people saying, oh, the book is pro George Weah, I'm like, okay, read, And I think now people are beginning to see it because they're reading more.
Right.
But the book reads like a movie. It starts from a place of football. It comes to the middle ground, his decision to run for president, and then the first 6 years. So all of these things are done in a way where the reader will understand better. If you understand the beginning of the person, you understand what's happening now and how we got here. So that's the thinking behind the way I wrote this book.
So my next question really lends to exactly what we're posting right now. Marcia Gono Dunbar writes, please be safe and careful. Word on the streets that he being the president, doesn't understand the in part and positives in regards to his story growing. I'm wondering if he has read the book. Hopefully he understands the importance of this story. That leads me to my next question. Are you at all concerned for your safety knowing the climate of which Liberia is today?
I'm always looking over my shoulders. I'm always taking precautions. I'm always careful who I befriend or who's in my circle. My circle is very small, very, very small. Um, it's not a circle that anyone can jump in, because I want to make sure that I'm protected too,
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who come on social media, they come with fake names and send you friend requests. You got to dissect, you got to be careful who you're befriending. And I remember one time someone sent me about 10 messages, hi, 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 and I didn't reply. And it said, he's too stuck up, he's too proud, he's too arrogant, but it's not that I'm arrogant, but I'm just careful how I accept people in my circle. I remember one time someone was in the Darius Dillon chat room and wrote a thing about me that, saying that they scolded me for writing a story. And I go to my chat box and this person had about 20 hi, 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 hi. And there was no response from me. So I did a screenshot of that thing and sent it and put it back in Dillon chat room and said, look, this is the person who said they told me something. I didn't even know them. They've been in my chat room, but in my chat inbox, but I had no idea who they are. So people always want to find a way to get in your space, and you have to be tolerant toward their views. Sometimes people come to me, oh, why are you not responding to this person? You're saying nasty things about you. I'm like, if I chastise somebody for criticizing me, then the work that I'm doing
Right.
is in vain, because my platform criticizes people. And I can't be angry because someone tells me something. You have to have a thick skin in this profession, and you have to be able to tolerate people's views. I went to prison for defending someone who wrote an article in my paper about a 13-year-old girl who was raped. We published a commentary. The person said the Supreme Court was biased in the case, and they called me to explain why I published the commentary. And I said, well, our newspaper has a page for opinions, and it's a marketplace of ideas where people can express their views. And I refuse to fall down to the Supreme Court. I went to prison for it because I believe in free speech.
Yeah.
And so people who don't know me think I'm just an arrogant person who just giving people a hard time. But I believe, at the event in London, I told a story about my next door neighbor, Henry Langford. The reason I told that story is because a lot of people don't understand why I'm so stubborn with my position in things. But I believe I'm alive because those who die in a war don't have a voice. And now that I'm alive, I'm going to fight for everyone who died in the Civil War so that we don't have to go back there again.
Okay.
Yeah, so the likes of Archie Green, Arnold, my schoolmate Arnold, who died in the war. A lot of people died, good people died in the war, like for nothing. And so if we allow the same things that led this country to war, that killed innocent people, to keep happening, bad governance, corruption, greed, all those things that led this country to war, we need a voice to keep ringing this thing in people's ear that this is wrong. And I don't want a government job. I don't want to be in politics. This is my calling. This is all I know how to do. And so everyone can be in government. Everybody can be. The media is like the fourth estate, and we have to be the ones to keep check on the government. And so we cannot be seen as people who just out there to doing things because they feel like doing it. And so I don't really get bothered by people saying, "Are you afraid? Are you scared?" Hey, we got one life to live. You live, you live. You die, you die, you die. Something got to kill you someday. So I'm not afraid of anybody. I believe in what I believe in, and I do what I want to do. I don't feel like I'm under anyone. No one tells me how to run my paper or how to do things the way I know what I want. I know what this country wants and needs, and that's what I'm doing. I'm stubborn because if I'm not stubborn, you have the Civil War again. It has to be there, conking people's head. Look, this is wrong, as many times as possible. Yeah, you have friends in government, you have people in different parties that you support, but I'm not a politician. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Tell your people who are in government, tell people who in your political party are doing the wrong things to stop doing what they're doing. Then they'll be my friends. But if you're doing the wrong things, I will write about it.
So I want to go back to the book, and I want to go back to, I think you mentioned something about how the book is like, I love the way I read the book, actually. I'm not going to go into it. I actually, I have it on Kindle, and I'm going to get the hard copy when we meet in April. But I've read the book, and I keep looking at the arrangement of the chapters. And so if people really want to get to know the story of George Weah, they have to follow the sequencing in the chapter. And I hear you say you had to do it over again several times. So how did you decide? And what it reminds me of is that's how I like to see book written. It's like you go from, because I don't like reading. So you go from one step to the next, and I don't like suspense either. So I know the next chapter I must see what happened in the previous chapter. So how did you decide on the sequencing of the chapter, the way it's spread out?
Well, it wasn't me. Honestly, it wasn't me. All I know how to do is write, right? So I wrote the book. I wrote 27 chapters or 28 chapters, and I thought it was that was it. But then we get the editors. They tell you know what? You can't say the man was elected this 2017. Then this thing happening.
Yeah.
So we had to change the chapter around over 15 different times.
Wow.
We kept changing it like we're playing chess, playing checkers. Go back and forth, back and forth. And I got tired. I said this thing is too much for me. But they said it's for your own good. Your name is on this book. You want to make sure it's thoroughly done. So we kept playing this chess game and checker game until they came to they saw what what they wanted. They saw the sequence from beginning to end, chapter to chapter, flowing the way it's supposed to flow. And I tell people this is not an ordinary book. This is I put everything in this book. I was up nights, can't sleep. When I sleep and I get idea in my head, I go jot it down, and when you start writing, it's like you're in a zone. You don't want to stop. And that's what I went through. But the arrangement of chapters was the editors and the publishers who kept pushing me. Say you can't say this in this chapter and go back behind again. It got to be from beginning to end. So that's the whole process.
So let me just say to those who just joining us, we're actually GBC Women with Words. We're here interviewing best-selling author Rodney D. Sieh, talking about his award-winning book, also bestseller on Amazon. before I can turn this over to Agatha, Eva, if there are more questions, when you look at the chapters, I tell you, the first chapter starts with prophecy, and the
Mm,
last chapter in the book ends with asking for forgiveness. So it's almost like you
mm,
say everything is in this book. Even God Himself is in this book. So it's like if, and I want to say that if you have not gotten your copy, that's just a segue to advertise the book. If you have not gotten your copy of the book, please go to Amazon.com. George Weah by Rodney D. Sieh is out. It was for a few days bestseller for West African history. So please make sure you go there. This is how you're gonna feel proud too when you see the book. This is the award-winning author here signing his book. We'll do a little bit of advertisement before we continue, just so we don't leave. I'll turn this to Agatha to talk about the upcoming. Agatha refers to it as the real book launch and celebration of Rodney's life. So let me put that flyer up and so that she can talk about it.
So I did read Journalists on Trial, and that in itself took me back to the Civil War, pre-Civil War, and thereafter. So when Rodney reached out to me, it had to be twofold. It had to be everything that he's done so far, right? So it's him capturing and walking us through the Civil War, which a lot of us were part of, but to see it on paper was really, something special for me personally. And then fast forward to the footballer president, where we're talking about this man that put Liberia on the map, then comes home to become a politician and everything else that to follow. I don't want to give it away, but that in itself calls for a celebration. So when we talk about having the launch, DC came about because it was central to a lot of where our people are. And one thing about, and you can put it up, Glendy. One thing I know about Rodney is, you know him probably from Front Page Africa, but Rodney does a lot of little things here and there trying to help the Liberian economy. I say help the Liberian economy because he's giving jobs to people that ordinarily won't have a place to go to work. So when we decided DC, there were a list of people that we could hire to be part of this celebration and this book launch. But he was instrumental in making sure that we tap into our Liberians. And I know the German giant isn't a typical quote unquote Liberian, but you know about all of the work that he's done. He's an excellent comedian, and he was just open and willing to assist with this project. And then D Twe, the guy that I always use his phrase when Ente says something, I'm jumping over it. So D Twe is going to be there, and DJ Sika. If you've been around the South and all over this United States, you've listened to him play, and he can keep you on the dance floor. So this is truly not just a book launch. It's a book launch in addition to the celebration of Rodney D. Sieh, the author and the journalist. So we will be in DC April 1st. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I want to encourage you to do so. I believe I have only 20 more spots available. It's filling out fast. So when that time comes and we shut it down, please don't call Rodney. He won't be able to help you. Please don't call me or Glendy or Eva. We won't be able to help you. So I encourage you to go to the real RodneyDCA.com and secure your spot today. So Rodney will be there with Bankole Thompson, my apologies. Bankole Thompson, he will be the moderator. He will be talking to Rodney about the books. We will have a Q&A session where you, the audience, will be able to speak directly to the author and ask whatever questions you may have. And then thereafter, we will celebrate the author and journalist that is the Rodney D. Sieh.
Eva?
Oh, Somebody said they needed tickets, so I'm
Kind of
like, you
spot,
better go
right?
on the site and get your ticket. I need my
Go
ticket.
to the
Go get
website,
your ticket.
Rodney DCA. Go
Uh,
there.
you
Go
you
get
must
your
say y'all
ticket.
wait a second. She said there are only 20 more spots. Hold on, let me get my ticket, and then you call her name.
No, I got my ticket. As soon as you put it, I harassed you that night. As soon as you put it on, Glendy and
Right.
I, we got our tickets. So
Good.
everybody need to get
I
their
got my
ticket.
ticket. I got my outfit. I got
Oh,
my glasses.
Just
Ready
stop
remember
to
it.
party.
Well, I'm be
Stop
okay.
it.
Mhm.
So let's go back to Rodney. I want to let's get away from the book a little bit and just talk about you as a journalist, a
So hold
writer.
on, Gata. Let's do all the advertisement. Let's talk
Okay.
about the show in Liberia, and then
Oh,
let's
right.
bring it out
Right.
there. All right.
Okay, let's
Let's see
do
what
it.
they have questions. So we have another show, and so it's three. This man is no small person. He's a big man, an important person here. Let me go into Kolo Kolo.
But it's not stopping at 3. So, but this is number 3, but it's not
Yes.
stopping at 3. So, there were lots of questions to the author about what about Liberia? Why would you write a book about Liberia, a Liberian president, and not do an event in Liberia? And I remember keenly Rodney answering, saying that he did have some challenges in securing a spot, but that show was coming. And as you can see, he is a man of his word. That show, that event will be April 22nd at the Bella Casa Hotel. Now, again, he's always employing people. He didn't go to Ghana to get nobody. He got NASA. What's the guy named? The guy that's made the song Gibraltar. NASA man. NASA man. Yes. MC Caro gonna be there. That's Glendy's favorite artist today, right? And then some other artists are going to be there also. So, I don't want to name all. You want to look at the website. All of this information is there. Tickets are on sale now in Monrovia. For those of you who are outside of the country and would like to purchase a ticket for someone to attend this event, you can do so as well. Again, the website is therealrodneydca.com.
All righty. Switch it over now. We're coming asking all the secret stories.
All the secret story. Before we do that, let me ask this one question about this, and I'm pretty sure Eva may have one as well. Rodney, so you got this book out. We're talking about George Weah. You talked to Ms. Cooper. She encouraged you that a book needs to be written. Personally, what do you want to happen? What do you expect? What are some of the things that you hope would happen from this book coming out?
I've heard some people saying because they dislike George Weah, so I shouldn't write a book about him. There've been a lot of books written about Hitler, about other important people in history, but they had to be told.
Yep.
Whether you like George Weah or not, or you hate him, love him or hate him, the book is what it is. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
it's up to you to judge and decide whether the good, the bad, and the ugly is what you appreciate or you don't appreciate. The thing about I've always had a free mind, and that's I want people to get away from this book is that here's a person who came from nowhere, from the streets of Gibraltar, Looking Town, Nickel Town, and became somebody. How often do we see people aspire to be things that they never dreamt of? And now that you're there, you have all these challenges. There's a part in the book where it's very important for people to understand. That's why this book is important. When George Weah decided to become president, he contacted someone who was one of his nemesis, someone who they never had any, doing any dealings except for the football field. And that was Jonathan Sugby. They call him Boy Charles. And he asked Jonathan, he said, look, I'm running for president. I want to run for president. What do you think? And Boy Charles told him, said, look, George, running a country is not a small thing. You have to be responsible for everybody's life. The kids, the mothers, the fathers, everybody depending on you for their livelihood. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Because it's a big burden. So the reason that's important, like I said, everything in this book has something to do with other things. The beginning has to do with the middle has to do with the end.
Mm.
And you have to be able to understand why George Weah is the way he is. And to understand that, you have to start from the beginning, the people who knew him, explaining what they went through with him, how he is, how he behaves, his mannerism, everything is in this book. And you have to understand the person before you judge them. You may not like him, but he has a story.
Right.
And that's the story that I'm telling.
I mean, you know, we kind of be like we're kind of biased in how we think about things, but I got my book today, so I haven't read it yet, but you have to be, like you said, objective. You may not like him, but you can't take away his history,
Right.
especially with his football, with what he did with football. You can't take away from that. I may not like his politics. I may not like what he's doing right now, but you can't take away from that. Like somebody had written something about celebrating killer or whatever. Somebody read a comment at the bottom. Nobody's celebrating anybody. You're objectively telling his story. My people, read a book. You want to read a book, that your business. But he's telling the story how it is. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you don't have to explain it, but it is what that's what you're doing. You can come off there with your opinion, but some people want to take their opinion and make it fact, and then they want to get hostile with it. No, you can't do that. This is what happened. The events are there. People are on record saying that this is what happened. So how can you, refute that?
And just to add something, Liberia is not like America. We have the Republicans and the Democrats. In London, they have the conservatives and the liberals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Liberia is like a country where it's too small to be in every, to be on one side. Or it's just difficult. But most time, people want you to, and that's why I don't like I don't like to be a politician. I just think it's a fraud because people come to you, they're in opposition, right? They tell you, oh, the government X, Y, and Z, and we publishing what they're telling us. Like the current government, when they were in opposition, they were in office every day. Now you come to office, you come to power, then we shouldn't write about opposition. We shouldn't talk about other people.
Mm.
That's not how life is. I'm sorry. Even those who in opposition now, tomorrow they get in power, they'll be the same thing. That's just how it is. Because no one likes for you to write about their people. They get offended, they get defensive. And so this is why I think Liberia is the way it is, because there's just too many polarizing figures in every sector of the society. And this is hurting the country because people are hateful toward each other. There's so much hate in the country. There's so many people want to see the other person die.
Literally.
And the reason this is important to hear is because it's sad, but it's part of our society. During the Civil War, a lot of people pointed fingers against some other people,
Mm.
and they got killed
Yeah.
for foolishness.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor got killed because his father was a policeman.
Hmm.
He
Wow.
graduated summa cum laude in agriculture. He could have been
Yeah.
a great Liberian, making contribution to the agricultural sector, but he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
There were people standing in line. I saw my own eyes. My friends, one of my friends his hands were tied to the back on Tupper Road. They were carrying him to go kill him. I thought he had died. And then I saw him on Facebook one day. I said, "Oh, Mama, you're still alive."
Mm.
You know, I've seen so many people get killed in this war. And that's why, like I said, I'm stubborn for a reason. I'm stubborn for those who die in the war. I'm stubborn for those who lost their friends, their relatives, their loved ones, their father, mother, sister, whatever, who were raped. Imagine seeing your mother raped in front of you, your sister raped in front of you. If we allow certain things to keep going on, we just recircling the hate, recircling the horrors, recircling the bad governance, and nothing will change. That's why I'm stubborn. If you say I'm arrogant, I accept it. I have to be the way I am because Liberia deserves better.
Yes.
So, Rodney, do you know if the president has read your book?
I never said this publicly, but out of respect, before I left Liberia, I left a copy with him through someone.
Oh, wow.
My understanding is that he got it. I don't know what he's read it, but that's my understanding.
So if he was watching today, what would you like to say to him?
I would tell him, like, whatever's in the book is not about hate. I have nothing against him. I just think as a journalist, as a writer, as an author, this is something that drives me. I like to write about things that are intriguing. And the story was intriguing, is intriguing. And that's why I did what I did. It's not a crime to write about the president, but I cannot write a story that's all flattering,
Right.
sing his praises. If I write that kind of book, the opposition people come after me. At the same time, if I write a book insulting George Weah, the including party will come after me. So if you like his football life, you will love this book. If you don't like his political life, you will love this book. So I try to make it as balanced as possible. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So don't say because you read the first part, the book that President George Weah, I don't want to read it. It's a sequence of events. I did it in a way where it reads like a movie. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Thank you.
It's a story. It's a life story of Opon. The Opon we know
And love.
Yes, and love very much.
That George we get to more for.
And the George Weah, who is our president of Liberia.
Yes.
I want to just ask a quick question because we're almost at an hour mark. We're 45 minutes, I guess, or 49. I can't see. Talk about you come from the background of journalists, strong people, Albert Port, Kenneth Bass, and Maureen Sieh. So when you look at those, I tend to I know of Albert and how strong that puppy was, and how almost like you kind of, it's like he was extremely stubborn, very stubborn. And I think that's the trend with, I think the stubbornness comes with professionalism. Like, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is what I believe in. When you look back at all three of those people, I'm not asking you to pick sides, but when you look at Albert Port and you look at Maureen Sieh and you look at Kenneth Bass, who would you attribute your journalism, your professional journalism, to the most?
Albert Port was the beginning, but I think Mr. Best, I call him Mr. Best because we work in the same environment most times, and I didn't want to call him Uncle Kenneth. I always call him Mr. Best. He really gave me the opportunity to shine. When I went to the Gambia and I became a reporter for the BBC, it was him who gave me the opportunity. I took my sick mother to Gambia when she had epilepsy, and both of us lived in his house, and we worked for the paper. And that window groomed me to become someone to write editorials, to write great stories. And I didn't see myself as someone who, because my uncle was there, so I have a free pass. I work for everything. Even with the BBC, I saw opportunity and I took it. And not because you know someone, you have to be able to appreciate people and respect people. And so I think Mr. Best was someone who really gave me that platform.
Amazing, amazing. I know we always people see you because you're a journalist. Maury is a journalist. Aberport journalist, Killer Best journalist. We know all those people. We know their genre of journalism. But you do have two other siblings that I want to mention because I know Beauty is watching. Yvonne is watching. I want to make sure that we compliment your other sisters. You're an only boy with three sisters. I'm not going to ask you which I'm not going to ask you which one is your favorite.
All of them.
I'm not going to ask you which of them is the favorite, but I want you to talk a little bit about your other sisters, your other siblings who are not in the line of journalism. How have they contributed to where you are today?
I have another brother, George.
Okay, yes, George, yes.
Okay, so, when you're growing up and my older sister died when she was young. Beauty was someone, because when she was born, she was so beautiful. My mother named her Beauty.
Yes, she still is.
Yeah, so she was the older sister, and she was the one who, guided us along the way. And Brenda is also someone who very dear to me. Also, she's hardworking. She doesn't talk much like me, but she's, she has her own way of dealing with things. So it's something that, it's a family. So we have to learn from each other. And I think I learned from all of them.
Amazing. And I know they're extremely, extremely proud. I remember, I know Maureen was in England and I know your family. We all know your family and close. So I decided to send a text to Beauty and say, don't be jealous because he's with Maureen. But I'm sure he's very proud of you. Eva and Gaza, anything else you want to
I want to mention his other book, Journalists on Trial.
Yes.
If you really want to walk through his shoes, I know it's painful, the war, especially if you were physically part of it. But I encourage you to read that book as well. It's, for me, it was therapeutic going through the sequence, but Rodney introduced his family in that book. So we learn a little bit more about the author and his siblings. So if you're interested in that, that's a really good book to read. But of course, I've read Journalists on Trial, and I'm currently reading Africa's First Footballer President. And I'm leaning towards this one. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just mesmerized of Opon. I ain't reached to the good, the bad, and the ugly yet, y'all. I'm still in the honeymoon phase. So Opon put Liberia on the map, and for that we are truly proud of him. This is an opportunity for him to read the book and hopefully correct some of the bad and change some of the ugly, but we will always remember the good.
Eva?
I think we said it all. Just go get the book. If you're in the DC area, come out on April 1st. The ticket free you. So yeah, please, I beg you. Just come.
Come buy your book.
Come buy your book, get it autographed, come see D12, come see the author, just come and celebrate.
Come see Eva. Come see Eva.
Yeah. I'll pick my outfit. Yeah, I'm picking my outfit.
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead, Rodney. You wanted to say?
Go ahead.
The moderator, Bangali Thompson, is a very sharp journalist.
Yes.
One of America's best African American reporters, columnist. He's very sharp, very, aggressive journalist. If you saw the event in London, you will know that this one is different. I pick people who I know would ask tough questions.
Yes.
And the one in London was very sharp and on top of things. Bankole is going to step it up a notch, and he's going to be great and I just
Can't
want
wait.
you to, to be there to see what it's all about.
I think I've read quite a few things about him before in some of his columns. I think he almost matches your character. He's stubborn. He's very stubborn,
In a
extremely
good way.
stubborn.
Yeah,
Yeah, in a good way. So it's gonna be great seeing two stubborn young journalists up there battling. He's gonna ask the tough questions that he didn't get in England.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing, amazing thing. Someone just wrote here, Rodney, don't you think would you link up with Frank Artist, the Liberian artist, the Liberian actor, to probably do a movie on this book?
well,
Think
anything is
about it.
anything is possible. I have to rush back home after the DC launch to go register to vote because they kept pushing it around. So, but I'm planning other things. New York is something that might be intriguing because I got a offer from a producer in Hollywood who wants to have a not a launch but an event in New York City. He's gonna invite some of his friends to come and just listen to me talk and talk about the book. So you never
So you
know.
mean we need to start looking for money to follow you every state?
The thing is, books are things that you carry along with you,
Absolutely.
and even when you die, it's still there.
So, yeah.
Whether I'm alive or I'm dead, one day somebody make a book. But George Weah, this book will come in handy. So and he has a great life story.
Yeah.
How many times you seen a footballer become president in his lifetime?
Yes.
So it's something that, regardless of whether you like him or you hate him, the book is what it is, and that's why I was very careful how I wrote this book. I took my time. I was angry with the editor sometimes when they said change the chapter around. But I think the way it came out is the best thing for Liberia.
Great, great. So on
So
this,
one last poll for April 1st. We will be in DC at the gathering spot. It's literally 2 blocks from the White House. Rodney will be there. The moderator will be Bankole Thomas. I
Thompson,
always Thompson. Why do I want to call this man Thomas? Bankole. I'm sorry, Bankole. Bankole Thompson will be the moderator. You will have an opportunity to ask questions of Rodney in regards to the book. There will be books on sale. There is a limited edition book. I have only 50 of those limited edition books left. Um, it's a good gift for people. So if you come on and you already bought the Kindle or whatever, there will still be an opportunity for you to purchase a book and have Rodney sign it for you. And after that, we will be celebrating. D12 will be there and just make enter John over it.
we jump over him.
Exactly. DJ Sika will be there also. And of course, GGG will be our MC for the night.
Absolutely. So on that note, Rodney, we want to say thank you. We're very proud of you. We're honored. All of us will be there. Agatha, please keep me 2 of the limited edition.
Okay.
I want to say that we are so proud of you and what you've done. We follow you everywhere. GBC will be there. All of us, all 4 of us will be there in
That's true.
house. So we want to continue to support you and thank you. I mean, this is an opportunity we probably might never get again to be able to interview a best-selling author. And what an opportunity it has been for us today to be the first interview after you have been named a best-selling author by Amazon. I am not going away with that thing. I probably will add it to my curriculum vitae.
You want to say you know a best-selling author, right?
I do know one.
But listen, folks, go ahead, go to Amazon. I saw someone asking that it will be on Amazon soon. No, it is on Amazon right now.
It's
So,
already
as Glendy stated, he is a bestseller on Amazon. So make sure you get your books. You don't want to wait. Amazon delivery is 2 days for the paperback, 5 days for the hard copy. The limited
Immediately for
edition.
Kindle. Immediately for Kindle.
Immediately for Kindle.
I gotta have it in my hand. That's why I'm waiting my 5 days.
I want to caress the book when I read.
Yes, I want to hold the book.
But this is one thing that I really want to encourage all of us. If you purchase the book from on Amazon, please do Rodney a favor and go and write a review. Even if you don't purchase it from on Amazon and you've purchased the book and you've read it, go and, like Rodney said, this book is gonna live forever for the end of times. It's important that that you go and write reviews. They do a lot of things. They will give Rodney some additional perks if he wants to. With reviews, 50 reviews, always post his book on top for people to see, and that's how he becomes a bestseller. So I want to encourage you, if you've already read the Kindle, I read my Kindle, I finished writing my review. You go there, you will see my name there with my review. So I want to encourage you, those of you who have purchased, those of you who have not, who's going to purchase it, and don't just stick to the $9.99. I didn't pay anything for the Kindle because I have an account with Kindle, but that's why I want to be able to purchase a hard copy myself. I want the man's signature to be in our book there.
It would be in front of me when I'm coming.
So, folks, this is it. Thank you, Rodney. Anything else you want to say? Thank you so much.
Just looking forward to people in DC and then also in Liberia. It's going to be fun. MC Caro, Kobasi, Aria, and the great Nazi man will be there. So, and the guys who wrote that poem about Liberia, they're going to be performing also.
Nice.
Yeah, they're going to be there. So it's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy.
Call me baby.
There you spare.
Baby.
They can't stop it.
But they can just copy it.
All right, y'all. It's been real.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. Wish you all the best.
All right.
Much has been said of George Weah's journey from footballer to president of Africa's oldest republic, Liberia. However, even his start in life in Monrovia is a story in itself, from a poor background onto superstardom, playing on some of the world's most famous football pitches. So how did he do it? And how's he doing? Well, the Liberian journalist and author Rodney Sieh has just released an unofficial biography on the president, and he took some time out of his international book tour and joined me here at Broadcasting House in London.
So my first thing was to approach him about it. I asked him, he said he wasn't ready to tell the story. But because we had 2 books written by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I thought it was important to tell his story before this coming elections. And I embarked on this journey about 4.5 years ago. I tried to get him to talk a few times actually, and he refused, so that's the unofficial.
This book then, and the fact that there was an refusal on his part to talk, would you, hand on heart, say that this is a defence of the man because he has had his critics, or a warts and all account of his life so far?
So